It's 2 o'clock on the East Coast, 11 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. It's Wednesday, and that's time for Freedom Watch. I'm Judge Andrew Napolitano from Fox News. Joining me today from the Capitol Rotunda, Congressman Ron Paul from the great state of Texas. Joining us on the telephone is Lou Rockwell from the Von Mises Institute and also from LouRockwell.com. In the studio with me is Peter Schiff from Euro Pacific Capital. And to my left, my good friend and colleague from the Fox Business Network, Cody Willard. Guys, thanks very much for joining us. Congressman Paul, we're going to, if you'll excuse us, we're going to be using this microphone here so as to make it a little bit easier for you to hear us and hopefully for us to hear you. Is there any effort on the part of Democrats in the Senate as we speak to block the $410 billion supplementary spending program that the House overwhelmingly passed on a nearly party-line vote?
Well, I'm sure there are a few, but I don't think it's going to happen. You mean the Democrats? You're looking for the Democrats to stop it? Well, the Republicans might try, and they don't have the vote. So I just don't think that's going to happen. My guess is that they will pass it, but it remains to be seen.
Did the government give any thought to the long-term consequences of this kind of spending? I mean, since last you and we spoke, the Congressional Budget Office, which purports to be non-ideological and basically neutral, says that if the president continues introducing budgets like the one he introduced last week, the total debt by his third year in office will be in excess of $12 trillion. Doesn't that scare anybody in the administration or on the Democratic side of the aisle?
It doesn't seem to, because they continue to do it. And the Republicans didn't do such a good job on their own, so the Democrats are just pursuing it and making it that much worse. But one of the things they have going for them is that this debt is big and it has to be liquidated because it won't be paid. And we've known that as far back as Adam Smith said that countries don't pay their debt. What they do is they liquidate the debt. And it's an ongoing process. You know, the debt is growing nominally, but, you know, they're working on inflation. They really, I believe, want inflation to come back. That's what they're trying to do. They think inflation creates prosperity, but it also liquidates debt. So if they can get this inflation rate back up to 10%, they get rid of 10% of the debt. That's what they're doing. So they don't make it a concern. They don't think of it in the terms that we might think of it, like maybe we would have sound money and these nominal debts mean something. So the debt will be liquidated, but the mischief they cause, that's what is really the bad part, is taking this money, taking it from good resources and pumping it into government spending, and they're doing harm with it. That's where the real harm is. But no, I don't see any serious attempt. The rhetoric is better now with Republicans. They're talking about it. They'd like to cut back, and they're voting better. And the Democrats, I think they're sticking to their reputation. And they're more honest about it. They've never preached fiscal conservatism, and therefore they're spending, and I expect they're going to continue, and I don't think there's going to be any cuts. And this idea that we can pass these budgets and at the same time have a fiscal program to cut the deficit in half in about 4 or 5 years from now, that gets to be pretty silly. And they talk about that with a straight face. I don't know who believes them, but they do.
Congressman Paul raised that, Lou Rockwell. It's utterly farcical, I think, for the government to suggest, for the president to suggest at the same time that they're adding trillions and trillions in debt, that he can cut the deficit in half. What will happen when these debts come due? I mean, can they refinance bonds, or can they just borrow more money to pay back the interest on the money they've already borrowed, Lou Rockwell?
Well, you know, Judge, John Maynard Keynes said that too often people were enthralled to the ideas of some defunct economist. Well, all the people in Washington, with the exception of Ron Paul, are enthralled to the defunct economist Keynes. And Keynes believed that unlimited amounts of spending on anything, he said even building a pyramid, and unlimited amounts of debt in this sort of economic situation makes sense. So, you know, they actually believe, I think they believe that this is going to work, that an economic catastrophe caused by unlimited spending and credit and debt and money creation can be solved by just stepping up all those horrible things. So I guess they believe what they're doing, but they're creating a disaster like we've never seen, an economic disaster as we've never seen in the history of the civilized world.
Peter Schiff?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Lou is right on what he's saying, and, the problems that the Republicans are facing now, those that are trying to oppose what's going on, is they have no credibility on the issue, because where were they when George Bush was doing the same thing? And Obama's got this change issue working for him now, but reality, all he's doing is continuing the failed policies of Bush, but he's able to say, we tried freedom, we tried capitalism, we tried limited government, that didn't work. So now we're going to have this change, but we never tried any of that. We're in trouble because we did exactly what Barack Obama wants to do now, only Barack Obama wants to do more of it.
Cody Willard?
I'd love to ask Dr. Paul, the Congressman. I'd love to ask Congressman Paul. I went back this week and have been trying to find a lot of quotes and history from, say, the 1933 to 1935, mid-1930s. And I guess here's where I'm going with this. Is it possible that all of the liquidity and all of this excessive whatever they're doing, bailing it and printing of money, causes at least a temporary 2 to 3 year, maybe even 2 to 3 quarter phenomenon where it seems as if the economy and markets are starting to pump and work again, and it's very illusory, and then we really fall off the cliff?
Well, it's hard to predict that completely. I would think that the markets don't believe what we in Washington and what the Fed has done so far is any benefit, because the markets are supposed to anticipate the future. So if they're anticipating that they're worth something, the markets would be settled down now. So I'm not anticipating a lot of benefit from this. So if you were talking about somebody in the 30s, yeah, the economy bounced up a little bit, but that depression never ended until the end of World War II.
And I guess, Dr. Paul, what I'm looking at there is, some of the biggest bull rallies are in bear market context, and we're obviously in a vicious bear market. Is it possible that both the economy and the markets sort of rally off of just even an illusory because of all the excessive dollars floating around?
Yeah, and I guess there are going to be some people who can time this, and could be a major bear market rally, but they're a lot braver than I would be. But that won't solve the problem. I mean, we're just digging a bigger hole for ourselves, and this is going to be a long time. Lou Rockwell's right. This is the biggest in our history, bigger than the history of the world. We're the biggest debtor in the history of the world. We have the biggest bubble because we've had this dollar reserve standard where we literally could print the gold. Everybody uses the reserve currency. It is big, and it's much bigger than I think even those of us who have been concerned about this ever anticipated. And the fact that we haven't had a real significant bear market rally here in the last year or two means that who knows, it might not come. I mean, well, maybe there's a lot of pessimism out there that won't be revived.
I think we're certainly more likely to have a bear market rally in stocks and any kind of meaningful bounce in the economy. I mean, we can have a bear market rally at any time. And, of course, I think people on Wall Street can become overly optimistic, read too much into it. I mean, this is a major bear market, and those rallies help keep it going because they sucker people into the market and they create complacency. They create a lot of hope because a bear market slides a slope of hope, and it's those bear market rallies that create the hope. But but as far as the economy, Rush Limbaugh got himself into some trouble when he said he wanted Barack Obama to fail. Well, you know what? The reason he wants Obama to fail is because he wants the economy to succeed. There's no way the economy can succeed if Barack succeeds in getting his agenda through Congress. He can only do damage.
It was an unfortunate choice of words, not an unfortunate selection of ideas.
Well, of course, the media, the Democrats, everybody spun it as if we can simply want him to succeed. Is there something?
I want to get back. I want to get back to something Congressman Paul said earlier, and actually Peter Schiff said earlier. Congressman Paul and the members of the House who typically and traditionally vote with you have been absolutely consistent, and unfortunately, there's just a few of you in their defense of the fair market.